beautiful evening to you. You're welcome to a weekend edition of Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel. Very happy to be here this evening to bring you up to speed with the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sport. On today's edition of the show, we're going to take a look at the latest from the beautiful world of tennis. Don't forget, the Australian Open comes up this weekend, and it promises to be another exciting time, of course, in the beautiful world of tennis. We're also going to take a look at, the latest as it concerns the Premier League. Of course, the transfer window is on, and we'll take a look at some players that are moving from one team to the other. These and many more, of course, will be yours on today's edition of Sport Extraordinary. It promises to be another exciting time. We'll take a break, and when we'll come back from the break, I'll bring you all of this right here on Atlantic Television Network. Stay with us.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Welcome back to the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, we told you we bring you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. I'm not alone in the studio this evening. I have Emmanuel Michael. Michael, good evening to you, and welcome to weekend edition of Sports Extraordinary.
Yeah, beautiful evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers. They're always a delightful moment right here on Atlantic Television Network talking sport, especially the Australian Open is about to get underway with just a few hours before that one kicks off. And for me, I think I'm very, very excited. Great to be here with you once more.
Of course, let's see how this one will pan out. Talking about the Australian Open, actually an exciting one. Some tennis players are already getting ready. But one man is talking tough, and that is Nick Kyrgios. He said he believes his Grand Slam return has come at the right time because tennis has become a bit mundane. The 29-year-old is set to make his return at the upcoming Australian Open following a series of injuries, including wrist problem, which he feared would end his career. The former world number 13 has not played at a major since the 2022 US Open, and Nick Kyrgios, who is now on rank, has been drawn against rapid rising British number 3 Jacob Fairley in the Melbourne first round. Before we take a look at the pairing, what do you make of his statement? He said tennis has, of course, become mundane due to the fact that he's not been around for some time. What do you make of the statement of Nick Kyrgios?
I think for me, I'm not taking that statement because we know of Nick Kyrgios. It's always very controversial. On the media, they always try to find a way to draw attention to himself. That is why he makes some of these big and bogus statement out there. But for me, the reason why I'm not taking that statement very serious is that Kyrgios is not among even the top 5 players, in the last 10 years per se, where he will be given such an attention. If he were to be the likes of maybe Andy Murray, Novak Djokovic, Yannick Sinner, it would be understandable that, he has been there at the top level, but the highest that he has, come close was him being ranked world number 13. I think that is the highest he has come close to, so I wouldn't take that very serious. But then again, on the other hand, you may want to say yes, in the sense that you need some of these controversial players, especially on the media, because the media is part and parcel of what makes the game very interesting. When you get to hear some controversial statement coming in from players out there, it tends to keep the tennis followers on their toes out there, and not expecting the expected, So I think for me, it's part and parcel of what garnishes the game and make it even more exciting. That aside, but in reality, can he actually go beyond, the media hype and do the needful on the court out there? Because for me, that is what I should have advised Kyrgios primarily, is to ensure that at least now that he has bounced back into the big stage, it is time for him to do everything possible to get himself at the top level once more, where he will be able to compete against the likes of Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, Taylor Fritz, name them. So for me, I think that should be his primary purpose, other than going to the media to pull off some of those media stunts. But like I said, you need some of these kind of people sometimes to also, raise the dust and keep everybody on their toes. It's likened to maybe in the world of football, the likes of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the likes of Jose Mourinho. When they go to the media out there, they always want to throw one jab.
In boxing as well.
Exactly. They always want to.
The man is back. I think the controversy has started even before the Australian Open gets started this weekend. And we look forward to see how this one, of course, will pan out at the end of the day. How far will Kyrgios go? When, of course, we understand the big guys on ground are still firing at this point in time. Michael, do you think he still has the strength, to challenge with the likes of Djokovic, Yannick Sinner? They talk about Carlos Alcaraz. But first, let's talk about the man he has been paired with, British number 3. Fairly, I think this might possibly be an easy pass for him.
I do not think so. It's going to be a banana peel for Kyrgios, because Fairly, just like you mentioned, there is ranked, British number 3rd, meaning that he has been very active, over the last, calendar year. And for Kyrgios, who is is not even ranked, he's unseeded. Per se, that is to tell you the level of his decline so far, and the reason is very simple. He's been away from the game for a quite long time because of, the fact that injury has blighted, his progress so far. So coming back at this point in time, where other young players will be hoping to make a mark in the Australian Open this year, coming back as an unseeded player, I mean, it's going to be a very difficult one for him. But we keep our fingers crossed, hoping to see what he brings to the table.
Can Kyrgios, of course, pull up the surprise, as it stands? Look forward to see how that one, of course, will pan out at the end of the day. And let's quickly take a look at some of the draws we saw in the Australian Open this time. Defending champions, Yannick Sinner opens against Chile's Nicolas Jarry. Sinner has been drawn in the same half as American 4th seed Taylor Fritz and Russia 5th seed Daniel Medvedev. It means Sinner cannot play 10-time champion, talking about Novak Djokovic at this point in time, till he gets down to the final of this particular one. Michael, what do you make of it? Yannick Sinner, how do you see him panning out? How do you see things panning out for him in the first game?
I think he's still very much a favorite for this very one. Taking a look at the outgone year, talking about year 2024, he has one of his best moments, one of his best moments ever in his career, where he was able to win a lot and, dethrone Novak Djokovic as the world #1 out there. And he continued to carry that very impressive form even till the last, competition of the season for the year 2024. So for me, I think he's still very much a favorite for this very one, and I'm tipping him, to do the needful because the odds, are in his favor.
The odds, of course, are in favor. Let's quickly move on as we take a look at other notable draws. Alexander Shevchenko will be national against Carlos Alcaraz. This one man so many persons have been talking about. Michael, Carlos Alcaraz, can he bounce back?
I believe Carlos Alcaraz, he has what it takes to bounce back. But the question is, can he bounce back in this first big championship, talking about the Australian Open? I can't tell yet, but then I still think that he's one of the favorites for this title because he has the experience. He's been there before. He won several titles, some Grand Slam titles for himself out there. After the likes of Novak Djokovic, he was the next big name in the world of tennis, not until Jannik Sinner came from behind and also able to take the shine off him. But you cannot rule him out yet. He's still one of the favorites. You can't mention 3 to 4 names without also including the name of Carlos Alcaraz as possibly one of the favorites going into this variant. So I believe that Carlos Alcaraz, the outgone year wasn't that a good year for him, and I hope he will be trying to build on the past glories that he has achieved for the year 2025.
Lucas Poli will be national against Alexander Zverev, and we'll see Kasid Saric against Daniel Medvedev, Hubert Hotskes will lock on against Tolan Crispo. Stefano Tsitsipas will be national against Alex Mickelson, and I saw Andrew Rublev against Joe Fonseca, Casper Ruud against Jimmy Manon. These are some of the draws, of course, in the male category. In the female category, British #1 and 22nd seed Katie Bolter starts against Canada's Rebecca Marino, while Emma Raducanu faces 26th seed Katrina Alexandrova. Aryna Sabalenka begins a bid for a third straight women's title against 2017 US Open winner Sloane Stephens. And Sabalenka could also face Koff, who faces 2020 champion Sophia Kenin in the 12th All-American first round opener in the semi-final. Neither Sabalenka nor Goff can face second seed Iga Swiatek, who begins against Katrina Snakova of the Czech Republic onto the final. And before we take a look at other notable draws as well, first, Michael, Emma Raducanu is one lady everyone will be looking at for, as she really put herself in order, and she rejuvenates herself, her skills and confidence. I don't know what you make of her in this particular Australian Open.
A lot is expected of Emma Raducanu. She's been there several times, gotten to the semi-final, the quarter-final, and I think the final as well, but she has not been able to, lay hold on that very big one. This year, I think she will be also hoping to go a step further to better her previous outing out there. So for me, I think she's in for this very one. But, in the WTA especially, there's a lot of competition among the players out there, jostling for who tops the ranking out there, jostling for who gets to win some of these major Grand Slam. So for me, I think a lot is expected of her. Let's hope that she can be able to bring her A game to bear, for the year 2025. But I tell you, it's a very positive year from all the big names that have been mentioned. And I think for me, this year, 2025 Australian Open is going to be one of the toughest in the history of the Australian Open, because a lot of the big names, is coming into this one aiming to make 1 or 2 marks out there. So for me, I think I'm very hopeful that if she, put up her past performance during the year where she did pretty well by getting to the final, I expect her to give other players, maybe more like the likes of Iga Swiatek, Aryna Sabalenka, Cory Coco Gauff, even our own African Onjobwa, a big run for their money out there.
Let's see how it goes. Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek also putting up for themselves for this Australian Open. But away from that, Naomi Osaka will be national against Caroline Garcia. Michael, this looked like a very, tough one at the first round for Naomi Osaka. Caroline Garcia is one lady, of course, you can rely on as well at some points.
Yeah, for Naomi Osaka, for me, I think I can't really beat my chest and say, yes, I'm banking on her. But if you talk about the experience, she got the experience. But sometimes it goes beyond experience. It's about your physical fitness. You know, so for me, I think it's going to be a very tough one. She's been paired in a very tough, against a very tough opponent, rather, in the first game. And I think she needs to dig deep. She needs to do a lot. She needs to bring her A game to bear if she truly wants to, you know, overcome her opponent. But I tell you, it's not a favorable one for Naomi Osaka. Despite her experience, I still think that it's going to be a banana peel game for her.
Let's see how it goes at this point in time. Elena Buchanan will be national against Emerson Jones. Madison Keys against Anne Leo. Elena Victorina against Serona Seti. Helena against Ange Jabois. Michael Ange Jabois is the lady everyone is looking out for at this point, especially Africans. Do you see how, of course, getting things done this time around?
It's always a very, very huge one for Ange Jabois. She has come close severally to make sure that at least she lay hand on some of these big, you know, Grand Slam, but it has actually eluded her. You know, sometimes the mere success syndrome that always, you know, follows her seems to take the better of her. Many times where she tried to, you know, do a lot in order for her to, you know, hit that prime peak where we expect her to at least bring home something tangible. She just falters along the way. But this time around, I think it's going to be even more tougher for her. Like I said, a lot of big star names, you know, in this very one. Naomi Osaka, very experienced player. Iga Swiatek, she has seen it all, won it all. Marketa Vendrosova, Aryna Zabalenka. These are big names, so, you know, so for me, I think it's going to be a very difficult one for Ange Jabois. But then, it is a game. Anything at all can happen. If she keep her cool and continue to, you know, dream big and also complement that with her impressive show on the court, I possibly see her going far. But for her to win this very one, I can't actually keep my fingers crossed and say yes, she's you know, in a very good position considering the form of, you know, Aryna Zabalenka and Iga Swiatek. It's going to be a very tough one for our own Ange Jabois. But as an Africa, she is our sister. We always want to support our own. But beyond that sentiment of the fact that she's our sister, she's an Africa, you know, hoping that she's going to go out there and do us well, does she actually has what it takes to square up against some of these big names that I've mentioned? It still remains a big question that we will get to know when the Australian Open gets underway.
Let's see how it goes. We hope Ange Jabois, of course, will live up to expectation this time around. A lot of expectation from her, but of course, she has not been able to satisfy the demand of her fans. Let's stay away from tennis this moment as we take a look at basketball on the show. Jared Allen had 18 points and 15 rebounds. Ivan Mobley added 17 points and 11 rebounds. And the Cleveland Cavaliers extended their winning streak to a season-high 9 games by routing the Toronto Raptors 119-95 in that encounter. Michael, it's really been an impressive season so far for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Definitely, I think it's a massive season for Cleveland Cavaliers. They've actually shown time without number so far this season that indeed they are the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. They'll be very, very impressive. Topping the Eastern Conference out there, you know, I think it clearly shows you that indeed they are working in tandem with the aspiration, the vision of their coach out there, who has spoken over time in different media, you know, out there, that indeed they want to break that mark this season. They want to go, you know, as far as they can so far this season. And for me, it's been a great season for them at this point in time, but they need to keep up that pace. They need to maintain that consistency if they truly want to make anything out of this season. The likes of Boston Celtics are closely, you know, behind them in second position. So for me, I think that they should not lay down their guard. But I tell you, it has been impressive season for Cleveland Cavaliers so far this season.
Impressive one so far for Cleveland Cavaliers. Trae Young posted 32 points, 11 assists as the Hawks beat the Phoenix Suns 129-120 in that particular encounter. And still talking about the NBA games, Karl Anthony Towns scored 23 of his 28 points in the first half, and the Minnesota Timberwolves led from start to finish in a 113-92 win over the Orlando Magic. In other results from the NBA, of course, the Pistons they lost to Golden State Warriors 107-104. Dallas Mavericks beat the Blazers 117-111. Grizzlies they actually lost to Houston Rockets 119-115, and the Utah Jazz lost to Miami Heat 97-92 in that particular encounter. And of course, Michael, it's not really been rosy so far down there in Los Angeles from what was seen at this point in time, as Los Angeles Lakers head coach Redick has confirmed that his home was destroyed in a massive wildfire that continues to ravage Southern California. Redick revealed that his family had evacuated their home as the fire advanced. The fire has burned more than 30,000 estates and destroyed over 1,000 structures, with strong Santa Ana wind hampering containment efforts. The Palisade fire, which remains at 0% containment, has displaced thousands of residents and led to widespread damage. The NBA postponed LA Lakers and Hornets game at the Crypto Arena due to the fire, emphasizing the league's support for those affected. And the fire has also disrupted other NBA teams, including the Los Angeles Clippers. Star forward Leonard left the team to assist his family after they were forced to evacuate. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Rams and Chargers have made their adjustments to their schedule and practices due to poor air quality and the ongoing threats of wildfire. Michael, how do you see this one? And of course, already is it has affected the NBA teams down there. Talking about the Clippers and the LA Lakers. Even the LA Lakers coach is complaining. Do you see this one really affecting the Clippers and the LA Lakers going forward?
Of course, definitely, because a lot is involved. Don't forget, the coach of LA Lakers actually, left, the club to go and rescue the family members that were trapped in some of those fire incidents out there. So emotionally, you know how fragile some persons can be, especially over there in US, where life is so treasured. Anything that has to do with their family, they don't take it for granted. So I think it's going to affect them, because if the coach is not mentally stable, then you doubt what he can be able to pass to the players out there. Some of those players are as well, some of their family members reside in some of these suburb areas where this fire gutted. So for me, I think it's really going to affect them negatively. LA Lakers rather, they are seated sixth in the Eastern Conference out there, having played about 36 games. They have a game in hand, courtesy of the postponement of that very game because of that fire incident. So for me, I think it's not a very good one at this point in time, and I believe that they are going to be given more like a 2 weeks a break or something like that to help them settle down from their mental instability courtesy of this fire incident, so that they can be able to put themselves together before playing that game. So in all, I think it will definitely affect their season.
All right, let's see how it goes at this point. So take a break, and we'll come back from the break, move straight to the beautiful world of football. A lot, of course, we have to unravel down here. It is the weekend edition of Sport Extraordinary. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
nobody's ambition is what
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
You're welcome back. Steve Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course bringing the latest evolving around the beautiful world of sports this evening, weekend edition of the show, and it's time for we to talk football right here. And we'll start with the CAF Champions League game today, as several heavyweight African clubs will have the chance to secure progression into the knockout phase, or for the CAF Champions League when the penultimate round of group stage fixture is played this weekend. The weekend action opens tonight with the first Group A game, putting MC Alga second, who are second on the table with 5 points, against bottom of the log TP Mazembe, who have 2 points in August. And of course, the big question is, Michael, who get this one tonight? Taking a look at this encounter between MC Alga and TP Mazembe.
It's very simple. Taking a look at the form of TP Mazembe, they've been very poor so far in the league. I think it's quite disappointing, because I expected them to do a lot, because they are one of the heavyweights in the group out there. But having seen their decline so far this season, I think it's going to be a very long night for them, coming up against MC Alga, who has about, they are topping the table if I'm not mistaken. So for me, I think it's going to be a very difficult one for TP Mazembe, because they've not started, their group on a very fine note. They've lost about 2, so far, which is not a good one for such as TP Mazembe, who has a very good record in terms of the continent. So for me, I'm not giving them any chance tonight.
Let's see how it goes. TP Mazembe, can they bounce back from what it is at the moment? Let's see how it goes. Aimba, of course, will be national in the CAF Confederation Cup this weekend. That game comes up against Al Masry. Must win, if you ask me, for Aimba Football Club, if they really want to progress as a stand. But away from the CAF games, let's take a look at the FA Cup matches that comes up tonight. Wakembe Wanderers will be national against Portsmouth, and we'll see Aston Villa against West Ham United. This promises to be an exciting one. Michael, Aston Villa against West Ham United, who just got a coach in the person of Lopetegui.
Lopetegui?
Yeah, West Ham United.
Sacked their coach, or got a coach. I think Lopetegui was sacked. So for me, if you take a look at West Ham United season so far, it's been shambles. This is not where we expected West Ham to be. Taking a look at what they did under David Moyes' era, I think West Ham, they are seated about...
I think they started Lopetegui and Bruce Graham Potter.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was just what I was trying to say out there. Take a look at the form of West Ham when, their former manager was there. it was very good. Then you see the likes of Mohamed Kudus, the likes of Lucas Paqueta combining effectively, to give teams trouble out there. But since David Moye left, it has been a struggle under Julian Lopetegui, who brought so much pressure upon the team and caused them a lot of point deficit, and that is why they are struggling in the EPL right now. They are seated 14th, about 7 points adrift of the drop zone, which for me I think is a quite disappointing one. But tonight, I hope they can be able, to also come back, find their rhythm, and see how they can be able to, make this one count tonight. But against Aston Villa, it's going to be a very difficult one, because Unai Emery is an experienced coach who have been there. Yeah, he understands the workings. He knows his player very well, and has been able to pass his philosophy, to his players, that even if it's not on the touchline, and I can assure you that Aston Villa can still get a valuable point against a West Ham side that lacks confidence, presently. But then in football, sometimes it is not the way we just presume that it's going to be. Sometimes we see one or two shockers in the game of football, and I cannot rule out that. But in reality, I think you take a look at the form of these two clubs, you can easily give it to Aston Villa. But like I said, in football, it is not more like mathematics where you say 1 + 1 is 2. If you win your game this week, then you are expected to win your game next week. No, it doesn't happen that way. So it is very open, and I am expecting or hoping to see these players to rediscover their form, because possibly the tactical formation that Julian Lopetegui was using may not be compatible with these guys. And sometimes, players do have a whole lot of say on retaining a coach, on making a coach, good or not. If players want to sack a coach, no matter how good you are, they can conspire and sack you. When you give them your formation, they will do whatever they want just to make sure they punctuate that your formation so that they get defeated. We've seen that confession from Mikel Obi during his era at Chelsea, when he will always talk about when a new coach comes and the players are not comfortable with such coach, they just find a way, to play around the coach intelligence, and then Ibrahimovic will come in and get the coach sacked. So sometimes when you let go of a coach that is not getting a positive result, probably is not doing pretty well, is not at home with the players, and the player just decided to let him down. And in their next game, when the coach is sacked, they tend to come out, stronger to prove a point. So for me, it's going to be a very tricky one, tonight. But in football, I always say that football is always a very difficult game for us to predict. But on paper, I will give it to Aston Villa. But in reality, it could be very difficult.
Let's see how it goes. Of course, promises to be an exciting one. Aston Villa, West Ham United in the FA Cup. And we'll see who get this one at the end of the day. But away from that, strugglers, Everton began their post-Sandike era with a victory over League One Peterborough in the FA Cup third round, with Everton under 18's boss Lentin Benes and captain Seamus Coleman. Bitterly cold evening at Goodison Park, with Everton under 18. Of course, was such an impressive one. But Michael, what do you make of Everton? It's really been a struggle for them. Shandak left, winning just one game out of 11 matches, played. And but you could take a look at it. This was the same Shandak who came in last season, helped them to survive relegation, despite the fact that I think about 10 points was deducted from them last season. And now things are turned around, and he wasn't given the chance to stay.
I think for me, a quite difficult moment for Everton. And Everton, for me, I think they were just trying to be very, very cautious. This is a man that almost got them relegated last season. At some point, it was more like Sean Dyche moving from one game to another, trying to see how he can be able to, help Everton stay afloat in the English Premier League. But miraculously, he was able to, beat that drop zone by making Everton to stay afloat. But this time around, having seen that games have played, about 18 to 20 games played so far, and they are still, you know, within the relegation zone. So to the authority, they find it very difficult, because keeping faith with him at this point in time might possibly see them struggle maybe in the last 2 games of the season to see if they can be able to survive relegation again. And that is why I think the authority have taken a critical look at it and say, no, I think it is time for us to part way against Sean Dyche by bringing in new man that can be able to steady, you know, the affairs of Everton. I hope that the decision works out for them. We've seen, you know, their Team B coach yesterday combining to help them, you know, get that victory. I hope that they can continue to build on that positive result going forward, because Everton, we know them as not that team that always compete for European sport, but then they are an average team that can always find themselves within that top 10 spot at most. You know, but seeing Everton over the last 2 years struggling, battling for relegation, I mean, it is very worrisome. And I think the best, you know, they have done is to sever their tie or relationship with the coach, talking about Sean Dyche, so that they find a way, you know, to salvage the situation before it gets out of hands.
All right, that's the situation of things. Everton are trying to get themselves, of course, in place at this point in time. 16 on the law. Can they survive relegation? At this point in time, we hear that David Moyes is looking forward to bounce back to club football in managing Everton.
That is the rumor that is making rounds. I don't know how true it is, but we'll wait to see. Maybe in the next 24 hours we'll get a clearer picture. But if he bounces back this time around, talking about David Moyes, I think it's going to be a good one, because Moyes thrives. I mean, he does well when he goes to an average teams. I mean, that is where you see the best of David Moyes. But when he goes to maybe a higher teams out there, he always struggles. We saw him when, you know, Sir Alex Ferguson had to anoint him as the only one when he was about to leave. We saw how he actually struggled under Manchester United. But take him to an average team, he tends to be very comfortable. So it's not going to be a very bad idea if he bounces back, because he's got the experience.
He got the experience. Let's see how that one, of course, will go down. But away from that, Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak has been named the Premier League Player for the month for December 2024. Isak wins the award for the first time in his career after dazzling December, which saw him rack up 8 goals and 2 assists in just 6 games, scoring in all 6 of Newcastle fixtures across the month. He becomes the 5th different winner of the prize this year, following Erling Haaland, Cole Palmer, Chris Wood, and Mohamed Salah. Michael, Alexander Isak, of course, manager, player of the month in December.
Truly deserving, a great striker for Newcastle so far this season. I think he's proven that indeed he's one of the best strikers currently. If not in the world, but in the English Premier League. 8 goals, 2 assists in the outgone month, which for me I think is a massive one. Not even Mohamed Salah can even match that record. I think for me, Alexander Isak is that striker that, you know, many teams will love his services out there, because he's good on the feet, both feet as well. He's very fast, very pacey and tricky on the ball. He doesn't take chances. Give him an inch in the 18-yard box, he's certainly going to slot that ball in. He has an eye for the goal, and he has an eye for the pass as well. In fact, he's a complete striker. This is what you need. You know, players, I mean, clubs like Arsenal need this kind of clinical striker that, you know, whenever you give him a little space, definitely is going to punish you out there. So for me, I think for Alexander Isak, he truly deserves this very one without any doubt at all, because he has shown it with the statistics and figures that he was able to put up, you know, that indeed he's one of the best strikers currently in the English Premier League.
Alexander Isak with Newcastle United looking forward to secure top 4 for themselves this season. Let's see how it goes. The man has been firing, and of course all look rosy for him at this point in time. But away from that, Nuno Espirito Santo picks up the managerial prize after leading Forest to a league high 15 points across December. Forest entered 2025 sitting third in the standing behind only Liverpool and Arsenal after bouncing back from defeats to Manchester City with 5 straight victories. And of course, this has been an impressive one. Man United, Aston Villa, and Tottenham Hotspur all fell victim to Forest before the calendar came to a close. This is the second time, Espirito Santo has been named the manager of the month this season and the sixth across his entire Premier League career. Nuno Espirito Santo, Michael, after making a return from Saudi Arabia, putting up a very impressive one, of course, with Nottingham Forest. I don't know what you make of what he's done so far with this Nottingham Forest side, picking them from nowhere and taking them to the top 3 on the table.
I think he's done a great job for me. Nuno Espirito Santo, I think he's done a very marvelous job. I remember his days at Wolves, he also did pretty well at some point before leaving for the Saudi Pro League, coming back to Nottingham Forest to pick them from the dungeons, from the dust, from the earth, to bring them to stand among the kings to dine right now, because where Nottingham Forest is seated in the English Premier League, I do not think that there is anybody that saw this one coming before the start of the season. You cannot even imagine it in your entire world that Nottingham Forest will be in the top 3, not even in the English Premier League. So for me, I think he's done a great job. And Nottingham Forest, they are the most informed team in the whole of Europe, top 5 leagues, presently as we speak. Then second comes Atletico Madrid. Nottingham Forest, they have played about their last 5 games. They have all won the 5 games in all that I've played. So for me, I think it's no surprise that he actually won the manager of the month. He truly deserved this very one. And we need to watch out for Nottingham Forest from what they are doing right now, because it is no longer more like a big surprise, because they've replicated this from week in, week out in the English Premier League. So let's just keep our fingers crossed, hoping that they can continue in this impressive form. Maybe at the end of the season, if not for vying for the title, but then they should get an European ticket, maybe Europa Conference or something. But the Champions League or vying for the title, I doubt if Nottingham Forest can do that. But I just
don't see them getting the top 4 spots?
No, I do not see them. With the likes of Manchester City, seems to be picking up.
This is a team that has beaten the best in the league so far. Liverpool.
I'm not disputing that, but for me, I still think that Nottingham Forest, they cannot, qualify for the Champions League.
So, are you saying what they're doing now is as a result of luck, or?
I won't say a luck, because there is nothing like luck in football. If you believe in luck, for me personally, I keep saying there's nothing like luck in football. It is what you give in, that is what you get. Yeah, I'm just thinking.
So if they have given this to this stage, it means they have what it takes.
It is a fairy tale run for them, which might possibly, in short, not might. It will come to an end very soon. You see them taking the back seat as it is, because allow team like Manchester City get to gel and start picking up this point. And this January is always a very crucial moment in the English Premier League. This is where you get to know teams that are very serious. The likes of Chelsea, don't push them over. Even Aston Villa, they might not be doing what we expected them to do from what they did last season, but then you can't write them off. You can't get the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, Aston Villa, even Newcastle, and you want Nottingham Forest to break the jinx by breaking in between these big guns and get a Champions League ticket. It's going to be a very difficult work for them.
All right, let's see how it goes. Nottingham Forest putting up a very impressive performance so far in the Premier League. We'll see how this one, of course, will end for them. But away from that, Vinicius Junior reignited his long-standing
even calm him down to let go, and it wasn't necessary for me, all of that. But then, you know, in football, there's what we call, you know, more like players trying to use one or two avenues to provoke their other players, so that that player will react in a negative way, so that they will get a red or yellow card. That was what Pablo was trying to do. We call it gamesmanship in football. Some of those things that you do against your opponent to get them angry, so that they will react on a negative way, so that the center ref will give them, you know, a yellow card. So for me, I think it wasn't necessary, but then it is what it is. Some have said, because of his temperamental actions, talking about Vinicius Jr., that is why he did not win the Ballon d'Or and all of that, which for me, I do not agree.
We'll call it a wrap up this point. We'll be back tomorrow by 7 a.m. With another exciting edition of Sports Personality. Please do also join us. 7 a.m. is the time. And of course, it promises to be another exciting edition of Sports Personality on Atlantic Television Net. So you can go down to our different social media handle, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, of course, you know, YouTube. The conversation continues right there. Special thanks to Mike for doing justice on the show this evening. My name is Kingsley Marlowe. Thanks for watching.